okay. Okay, we should be good now. Chat me if we're not, but I think we're fine. Okay, great. So while you're all here, I'm really excited to be giving this presentation. I started learning how to DJ with FemHouse 3 years ago, just celebrated my 3-year DJ anniversary. So very surreal to be giving this talk. I learned through sessions with Mary Droppins. She is, in my opinion, the best DJ teacher you could have. She really breaks it down into really simple things, even like color coding my cue points for vocals and stuff, which was a game changer for me. And there's so much you can learn virtually, even with like technical aspects of DJing, especially producing. So I really encourage you, if this is your first FemHouse session, to get on as many as you can. I just signed up for a bunch of producing sessions with Mini Bear later this year as I get into that. So yeah, FemHouse was what really helped me start to call myself a DJ 3 years ago, even if delusionally, which I'll get into. But yeah, it kind of takes some time, I would say, like to find an organization like that for you. And I'm sure FemHouse is one of those for you, but I'm going to go into how you can find them even in your local community and beyond. Because to build yourself up as a DJ, you really need the support of people. And that's why I'm here to help you all, hopefully, today, and why we're all here to achieve our biggest DJ producer music dreams. So yeah, my name is Tara. This is actually Sanskrit, my logo. I have Indian heritage and I go into that and how it influences my DJing later in the presentation. But yeah, fun logo. And then also this is the logo for Playhouse, which is my music collective, I call it. I'll go into why I don't really like that word, but in terms of the industry, that's what it's called. Playhouse, and that's how we've been able to make impact on the community level. Here are all the handles if you want to follow. I'm sure you're following FemHouse, my personal DJ handle, and then Playhouse. Cool. So this is going to be a pretty strategic presentation with a whole framework of 3 pillars for success, but I want to start with something a little less serious, which is how I got into DJing in the first place and like what really sparked it for me. So I know Camille said she's also a hardcore raver. I was a pretty serious raver in San Francisco for a few years. I fell in love with house music when I moved here. The scene is so amazing for it. You can find shows almost like every day of the week. So had this genuine love for that and had a lot of male friends who were DJing. And I was like, if they can do it, it can't be that hard. And I had friends who were pushing me to do it. And yeah, one day just bought a controller like everyone does. And I had a friend send me a TikTok of someone who was like throwing a house party and needed someone to DJ for them. And so I taught myself like as quickly as I could. I had phoned up a friend and like figured out how to do it in a weekend and played this house party. And then from then on, called myself a DJ. Um, and a couple of weeks, I would say, I think that party was like in September. Yeah. And then ADE is mid-October. And so after that, one of my friends, Audrey, who's now like just like been such an amazing supporter, she's someone I met at a rave. She DM'd me saying that I should go to Amsterdam dance event with her next week. And this was while I was going through a very toxic job. And I thought Amsterdam Dance Event was in San Francisco. I had no idea it was actually in Amsterdam, as you can see by these Instagram messages. But I had a cousin there, and she was like, "This is going to take your DJ career that's only like 1 month old to the next level." And so I really pissed off my boss and decided to go impulsively. And it changed my life. Like, I think about Amsterdam Dance Event every single day. I haven't been back in 3 years, but I'm going again next month. And darn it, I left, I have like the little pass, my pro pass that says DJ on it and my name, and I keep that next to my DJ deck because it reminds me of how delusional I was when I was starting out. That I went to this week-long conference, which is also a festival at night. It's so cool. Calling myself a DJ when I'd only played a house party and didn't even know how to use a USB on CDJs. And yeah, like absorbed as much as I could. I was so inspired every night was going out to these crazy like castles and the Ziggo Dome where I fell in love with techno and Charlotte DeWitt and saw these amazing women commanding dance floors. And well, the first event that I actually went to at Amsterdam Dance Event was the FemHouse event at the W, and this girl was crushing the decks. And I did a lot of ADE by myself. So it was just so cool to see like women up there, and that had always inspired me a lot as a raver. And now as a DJ, it was like on this other level. So I think about ADE a lot, and I wanted to start off with that because I think I'll have some kind of story like that, like some raw inspiration, emotion that like goes beyond all of this, the framework, the, strategy. And it's just like it's why you do it. So if you haven't found that, I would encourage you to do crazy stuff like this. And I'm going back, like I said, in like 5 weeks. And this time, I feel like I have that same kind of delusional mindset, but with producing. And so, yeah, like sometimes when I get a little discouraged with producing, I'm like, well, think about when you were like a baby DJ and going out and doing this stuff. So, I have faith that, yeah, DJing took like 3 years to get here, producing might take six, but I think like looking back at where you started and where you are now, it's really helpful, especially as you want to expand and go to the next level with things. Cool. And let me know if you're going to ADE. I'll check after the chat, after the presentation. So the three pillars I'm going to walk through, the three P's, kind of corny, alliteration. But first would be find your people. And by that, I of course mean like your network of, other DJs, your bookers, but really just people who are like not only going to help you with gigs, but are going to be there for you when it gets really hard and who are going to be at your shows when you don't want to be pressuring your friends to come for you. You need a lot of support in this. It's really like, booking is one thing that's like entirely kind of like decisions made by other people. So it's really important to have those relationships and to have support because sometimes it is subjective. Second would be find your purpose. And so this is, I like to say, this is why do you like DJing beyond DJing? Because sometimes like turning knobs does get old. And like you're playing for a room of people that are not responding. You're really tired. It's like 6 a.m. So find something that will get you through the gigs where you're just not feeling it because that will happen. And even as you get higher, it can actually get harder. You're opening for bigger artists, you're playing earlier time slots. It can get even tougher and more demotivating, ironically, at times. So I would say it's really important to have that purpose, and how you can, extend your impact beyond just DJing. Because I think that there's a lot of like back and forth about like how DJs are kind of like rock stars nowadays, right? We're like on these big stages. I see that as an opportunity. I think it's like this great platform now. I like to say it's the best and hardest time to be a DJ because, like, for example, the Coachella lineup was like electronic dominated. DJing is like the shit right now, but it's also very competitive. It can get very shallow. It can be a lot about clout at times. So not to get negative, but try to find something that keeps you positive in this crazy world and is a way for you to, like I said, have an impact, which is a big point in this presentation too. And then third is find your pathways. There's so many different routes to get to where you want to be. You can become a huge DJ without ever producing a track. You can become a DJ through having an event series. There's so many different ways you can become one through posting TikToks. I work at TikTok as my day job, so I have nothing against that. And I think there's so many routes to get to where we want to go. There's so many gigs now. There's so much music being made. So you can really forge your own path, I think, as long as you stay authentic. Cool. So now going into some bragging because that is part of being a DJ and you're gonna have to get used to it. Especially there's a lot of self-promotion involved. So I am a house and techno DJ based in San Francisco. I started off as a house DJ 3 years ago, like I said, and never thought I would be DJing techno. I used to like hate techno when I first started raving. And yeah, now I'm like, give me faster. Like now I'm playing like 150 at times and it's so much fun. So yeah, I think genres are also a very interesting topic with DJing. I know there's open format DJs. For me, like I like playing a variety of electronic music. I love playing breaks here and there. But house and techno were to me like the two common themes that work really well together with the four on the floor. And so that's what I have in my Instagram bio. I like to say house and techno in San Francisco. And I think when you're starting out, when you want to get booked, it is really helpful to have something in your bio like that. That just makes it very clear for bookers. Um, and in San Francisco, I co-founded a collective. I don't like that word, but it is technically that called Playhouse. So here, the way that they book for big shows and venues is very heavily through collectives. So there's a lot of like DJ crews, though the best part is that a lot of us our crews are not just limited to our crews. We like bring in other people to play for shows, but it's easier for the bookers to hit up different collectives versus individuals because I know if they hit up Playhouse to fill a room, we can give them a solid lineup and takes a lot of work off their hands. So I had been told, like if you are having a tough time breaking in, like just create your own collective, which was kind of part of the reason I started it, but I'll go into the other more meaningful ones too. But yeah, my driving force with that is to diversify the decks. Heavily influenced by FemHouse. Like I said, FemHouse is how I got my start into DJing. Even like a couple months in, Lauren, who's one of the co-founders of FemHouse, asked me to open an event with Mary Droppins in person at the W San Francisco. And with that, I was able to basically do like an in-person DJ workshop to help other people right when I was starting out. And I'll show you a picture. There's like this adorable 9-year-old girl who I think like we made her life with that. She's an aspiring DJ. So yeah, Femhouse was a huge inspiration to me, and I wanted to create more opportunities like that for newer DJs, for people who didn't get typically booked. Like I have this trans woman who recently told me that we were the first ones to give her chance. So that's what Playhouse is about and why it was started. And now I'm leaning into FemHouse with production and learning through the sessions. And over the years, have been able to open for a lot of women who inspire me. That also kind of goes into like personal branding values. To me, it's very fulfilling to be on female lineups. That's something I always advocate strongly for. And whenever someone argues, I say just go on the Book More Women Instagram and you can see that the lineups are still 15, 20% women at the top. So I think at the ground level, that's where we can really start to hopefully rise up. So yeah, I'll go into some fun stories with these bookings. I want anyone who sees like a list of these names to know that literally anyone can create these opportunities for themselves. And if you stick towards the end, I will reveal some of my secrets of how. But yeah, a fun one is with Jackie Hollander. She, I would say, is like one of my top inspirations. She's from San Francisco. She had a pretty like she worked really hard with production and with DJing, and it was cool to watch it up close. And now she's like one of the biggest. And yeah, with her, I had messaged her because she's around my age. I had like been DMing her saying how she inspired me, and then went to see her play early at a Gorgon City party at the Midway here, and was like dancing right in the front because I love her music so much. And then she happened to be in the crowd after, so I went up to her and told her how much she inspires me. And then she was like, "Oh my God, yeah, I recognize you. Like, I'm playing in San Francisco. Do you want to open for me?" And that was like a dream booking that just happened from just telling someone they inspired me and like going up to them. So, yeah, I have more stories kind of like that. But if opening for big names is something you want to do, it's definitely within reach. And I'll go into how you can do that beyond luck like that. Cool. And then also aside from artists, have played outside land parties in the past and have an upcoming party with Portola and the W Hotel, who I got connected with through FemHouse. Because if you don't know, LP and Lauren, who co-founded FemHouse, also work with the W Hotel. So there's like a really cool relationship there. And it's good to get involved with these, as building those relationships with like Another Planet Entertainment, with Golden Voice, to get to know people at these big players. Because like my dream one day would be to be on the actual lineup. So hopefully I can show you how you can start to build those connections and then keep taking your career to the next level. And ask this in the beginning. Feel free to type in the chat a little bit about you. Would love to see it at the end since I can't figure out how to navigate this Q&A live. And then I guess what you hope to learn today, maybe save that till the end. Hopefully I answer some of those questions. Cool. So going into the pillars, the first would be finding your people, which we have all already done by being here today. So thank you so much. Um, like I said, that can be virtual like this. Really important to do that on the local level to get out there. One of the top club owners here, Gina at Halcyon, said, if you want to be a DJ, you need to be out every weekend. And I do agree with that. It's just go out and support your friends, go listen to your favorite music, go to the venues that you want to play because trust me, people will recognize you. That is how you get opportunities. And you kind of should get used to it if you want to DJ, to be honest. And so, like I said, even finding people who inspire you, like, how I was messaging Jackie, I also messaged Mare Bear, who I've partnered with, as you'll see later, to throw events here. She's an amazing DJ in LA, and she followed me back on Instagram when I was just starting, and it like meant so much to me. And we've like been messaging back and forth ever since, and playing together. And wanted to talk about on the local level. So while virtual DJ workshops are really helpful, I think with DJing much more so than producing, I think you can really do like learn pretty much online if you need to, because you can screen share and all of that. But with DJing, you really need to get comfortable being in front of people. You need to be comfortable getting on different decks, being in different environments. And so you just have to get out there, and you can only learn so much from an online DJ workshop. So, a couple months into when I started DJing, I applied for this program called Ladies First. They have a chapter in Canada and one that was in the Bay Area. I think there's a new version of it. But at the time it was Ladies First Bay Area down in San Jose. So I applied for this program, and I remember the head of it, Charlene, she was like, "Hey, like I listened to your mixes, like they sound good. Why do you want to join? Like this is more for beginners." And then I was like, "Yeah, I know I can mix well in my bedroom, but like I want to be comfortable performing and like not feel like I'm faking it or like, look really nervous. I want to like actually feel comfortable." And she was like, "Okay, cool. I got you." And then yeah, this was like a 7-week program where myself and 7 other girls met at this plant store called Momstera in San Jose. It was like the cutest thing. And we all performed in front of each other. And so that really helped me like get over that kind of fear. And I remember like there was times where I felt like, oh my God, I'm never gonna get beat matching, or like, oh, I sucked at that. And like you kind of just need to be in environments where you can fail and like learn together and ask each other questions. We had a group chat, and then just be there for each other, like physically, I would say. And in the middle of that program, this was when I was like, now I would actually like go up to DJs that I saw in San Francisco, especially if they were girls, because I felt more comfortable. I'd say like, "Oh my God," which was true. Like, you inspire me so much. I am also learning to DJ. And people are so willing to help you when you say things like that. So never be afraid to. And one of the top DJs here named Dwada told me that there's this female DJ group chat, and she added me to it. And in that chat, it was all the females in the city, including this amazing booker for 1015 named Afton, who always makes an effort to book more POC, LGBTQ women. And she asked, who hasn't played 1015, one of the top clubs here, and wants to. And so myself and my friend Madison, who were both in this program, sent in our mixes and got the gig. And I like screamed, and it was crazy because that was like one of my favorite clubs. And it was 6 months in. And so, yeah, that opportunity happened from being out there and sharing that I DJ with people. And then the fact that me and my Ladies First team member both got it was so amazing, because for the month leading up to this big, scary gig, like on CDJs, we had each other for support. So we went to open decks together. We figured out how to format our USBs together. We had girls from our program come out and support us when we played. And then even after that, that was an amazing first gig. And maybe some of you can relate to this, but when you have one of those, sometimes it's very hard to get another one like that. And so for a while, we had some kind of lame gigs. Like we opened for Snake Hips, but it was like in the basement, so no one was there. And it was like all this build up. And then I'm like, oh, I'm playing for 2 people. And I was like Madison, like, I feel like I can't do this anymore. Like, I feel like I'm annoying all my friends by like how much I'm promoting myself on social media. And you are going to go through moments like that. And you have to, like I said, have a support system. Like Madison was like, I am not letting you give up. And recently I told her the same thing. And my friends were like, you're not annoying us. Like, keep going. Like, we know what you're doing. So you have to have that support system. It's the only way to get through this craziness. So get out there, be vocal, promote yourself. I promise you're not annoying people. And if you feel like you are, just talk to your friends and they'll bring you back down to earth. And then lastly, I would say you want to start creating a fan base or a following that goes beyond your friends, because at a certain point, you actually are going to feel annoying asking your friends to come for your gigs. And the way to become a more professional type of DJ that gets booked is to bring people. And so I would say this, if you're starting out, it's a great time to kind of experiment and to see what actually like really resonates. It's a great time to express yourself. So for example, as a raver, I would always wear sunglasses because I actually have very sensitive eyes to light. Some people don't know that's why I wear them, but that is why I wear these wraparound sunglasses. And then I started wearing them in my DJ sets, and people loved it, and they like recognized me through that. And then I also dance a lot with my arms, and that works really well with DJing. So then that was kind of like I felt like part of my brand. Like, okay, I'm like very high energy on stage, got like kind of a signature look. And so it can be like that. Obviously, it should be the music, like the energy that you bring. And that's how you get people who are going to recognize you when you're playing out and about in your local market. They're going to ask for your Instagram, they're going to want to be on your guest list. And then you don't have to feel as pressured when, you do have to fill up a guest list. You can be like, okay, I've got this following of people who I can, fill this up with. And that can even be like, of course, on your own social media, but I've recently kind of started exploring other avenues. So there's an app called Radiate where it's kind of like a social media for ravers, and each event has a page. And so I go in there on the page sometimes with my free guest list and I'll say, hey, I'm so excited to DJ here. Like, if you want free guest list, here you go. And it's people who are already interested in this event, or just tell them what time you're playing and they might even show up for you. So, yeah, definitely leverage social media, of course. Next pillar is finding your purpose. So as I start producing, this is also something that I'm thinking about. My mom asked me at one point, she was like, "Do you feel like you really have like music to put out there, or are you just like doing this because you feel like you have to?" And I was like, "No, like I have a sound, like I feel like yes, I have music in me. I want to get out there." And I kind of was questioned this again. I had a producing lesson with Camino, who's an amazing tech house artist. He's actually playing Experts Only this weekend, which Femhouse is also at. So great. And yeah, he asked me in the beginning of our first lesson, he said, okay, what are your short and long-term goals with this? And I was kind of like taken aback. And he was like, no, like, is this like a hobby for you, or do you want to do this seriously? Because I think he was trying to gauge like how in depth we were going to go. And then I was like, no, like I DJ at a high level, like this is more than a hobby. Like I want to do this professionally. And that's something that I recently, I would say, admitted to myself and like allowed myself to say. There's this great interview snippet of John Summit saying, like, if you just excuse this as a hobby, it's like an excuse not to take it as seriously. Yeah, I think, it can start out, of course, as a hobby, but if the presentation is about, how to like build up a DJ career, I would say, treat it like one. Like, say I am a professional DJ, because if you're playing clubs in the city at a high level, like, it doesn't have to be your full-time job, I would say, for you to be a professional DJ. So yeah, take it as like kind of like own it, right? You're taking it seriously, so talk about it seriously, I would say. Um, and share those long-term dreams. Be like, I want to be on an EDC main stage. Like, don't be afraid to say that to yourself, and to others. And then I would say, of course, have your short-term goals. So, this is what's more within reach. This is like those stepping stones to get to where you want to go. So when I was first starting out, it was like playing all of my favorite clubs in the city. And now I've been able to play all of them like multiple times. So now it's like, okay, what's the next goal is to go beyond my own city. And I'm seeing that same path with producing. So like as I start, I'm submitting demos and I'm like, okay, like let's start with the smaller labels. We have some amazing ones locally run by my friends. That's a lot less scary and like pressure. And I can actually work with them on the track more. And then of course, like I have my dream labels, but I know that I have to actually just get my music out there and break the ice first to get there. So yeah, I would identify short-term goals that will help get you to your long-term ones. And then we kind of talked about the toughness of gigs sometimes, but I would say have a purpose that goes beyond just DJing to get you through the tough ones, because it is very up and down. I think along with finding your people locally is like finding people online who can, like inspire you with being open about the industry. Like Azeka is a great one for me on Twitter. Like she'll tweet stuff like, "Oh my God, like this job is crazy. I was playing for like 10 people last night and like 1,000 people tonight." And that's the reality of the nature of DJing. You sometimes just never know what you're walking into. So have like something like I said to ground you, because it can be like that even if you get to Azeka's level. So I would say this on the left is a big part of it for me. Someone messaged me this after I played one of my favorite gigs ever. I was opening for Lily Palmer at Hibernia Bank, which was like finally my transition from like club DJ to like big main stage performing DJ. And yeah, this interaction meant a lot to me, and it's something I think about a lot. And it made me realize like I'm doing this for more than just me. I'm doing this for, to inspire other people that they can go beyond the big stage of whatever it is in their life. So it might be similar to you or something else. Maybe it's exposing people to a new sound, or a new kind of event. So, like I said, try to identify what that is for you to get you through the rough gigs. And then another big one for me is just inspiring girls like Cambria. She is this adorable 9-year-old who came to our Femme House session at the W. And she told me her favorite artist is Chris Lake. It was really adorable, and she was like dancing super hard when we played. And her dad said this made her whole day. And then he actually came to one of my gigs at Halcyon and like FaceTimed me with Cambria while I was playing in this very dark, non-child friendly club. So yeah, think about all the people that you can impact and inspire. And with that, going into Playhouse now. So Playhouse is, like I said, the collective that me and my friend Sav started back in 2022. Collective in like, the industry sense, but we wanted it to be a collective where everyone felt like they could be part of it. So no official members except for like myself and my co-founder. And we started this actually with a all-female rave at this random bar in the city. My friend Sav told me she wanted to throw a rave. We were both Indian American girls, we DJ. We had already been friends, and that resonated with me. And so we actually made it a fundraiser for FemHouse and got some of our friends who were starting out DJing to play it. We learned on my RX3 to be comfortable with that equipment at the bar. And then the event sold way more than we expected. It like totally packed out. We didn't even know the majority of people there. And then after that, me and Sav turned to each other and we're like, we have to make this something like official. And so we started our Playhouse Instagram and we didn't know what we were going to do next, but we were like, okay, like we're going to do something with this. And the Diwali was coming up, which is the Festival of Lights. It's coming up again soon, in a month. And I was like, why don't we do a Diwali rave? Like we're both Indian, we can do this authentically. And Diwali was something I celebrated a lot growing up. And at the time, Indo Warehouse was like just really taking off. Indo Warehouse is this group led by Kahani and Kunal Merchant. It's basically in like house music, heavily influenced by Indian sounds, incorporating them. It already naturally works very well together. So it was this really cool wave that was starting of like making Indian music cool in the electronic space. And so had the idea for this local Diwali rave that we were going to throw and pitched it to Bergerac, this venue on the right, perfect for it in my opinion, and sent an email from the website saying like, hey, like we know y'all have worked with Indo Warehouse, like we have this idea for a Diwali rave, think it could be really successful. And Peter was super down, the booker for Bergerac. He had worked with Indo Warehouse in the past and said, I know like how big of a market this is, and was very supportive. And yeah, it was scary. We were going up against a $5,000 bar minimum with like no money in our pocket to support that if we went down. And we were very strategic with the lineup that we chose. These two girls, Neha and Arini, their DJ names are Jag and Arini, were so supportive. We brought them on because we know like we had seen they were just starting to DJ and had so much support in their community. And Arini is actually a creator and has become like a really big advocate for Bangla. So she's Bangladeshi, Bangla House in the whole South Asian electronic space. So it was really cool. This was like their first club gig, and it was really gratifying to do that. And they brought so many people and helped make this a huge success. And then the headliner was this one of my favorite artists named Bombays, who now is actually one of my producing teachers. And he agreed to do it for a very generous rate because we also had like a charity element, and he loved the idea of this like South Asian lineup because he himself was also Indian American. And so when you have like these unique ideas, you get a lot of people on board. And so it really did take like this whole team of people, and we decorated it all Indian, and it was a great success. And after that, we threw our third event the next year, which is when we kind of like started to form, okay, like identity of Playhouse is gonna be focused at the time on South Asian female, because that was like female was something that really resonated with me. And then my partner Sav had done Indian dance growing up, knew a lot of the music. And I also thought it was really cool. So this was kind of like this unique niche that we started to occupy. And it did really well. We threw our third event with advertising the South Asian female lineup. It was flower themed. It was a day party. You can see here we decorated with like Indian flowers. And then we were finally able to get booked for our dream gig, which was Indo Warehouse. The ones who had inspired us to really like take this on a local level, start infusing it more with female. Yeah, so this came about because Peter, who had worked with us on the Bergerac events, was working with them again to come back to San Francisco that year. And I remember I saw like the flyer announced and that like Peter's company All Day All Night was on it. And I texted Sav, I was like, oh, like, do we ask Peter to be on this? I don't know. And she was like, yeah, girl, do it. And so we sent the email, and then he was like, yep, I know how hard you guys work. I know that y'all have built an audience in this. Let me pitch it to the guys. And so he got us on this Indo warehouse event. On the left, this was at the Mint in San Francisco. It's like a historic bank. It was truly like one of the most surreal sets, beautiful experience. My parents were there. We were playing Indian music. It was just so cool. Um, and yeah, built a relationship with Kahani and Kanal. And then we're asked to play this event, this festival for them in New York later. This was a year ago at this really cool Superior Ingredients venue. And so was kind of wanted to explain that to show how when you make an impact on the local level and you build those relationships, it can get you farther and like beyond and literally across the country. And with Indo Warehouse, I was also delusional with them, and I had been messaging with them in the past when I barely like knew how to DJ and was like, yeah, I can play your event. And it finally happened. So I would say be delusional, but also so then want to talk about now where Playhouse is at right now. So I've talked about a few different elements to it. So like I said, the South Asian influence. We have our upcoming event, Deep House Diwali with Saqib. He's an amazing producer, and Code Switch. I don't know if they're on the call. They're another amazing techno duo local to the city. And with this, we have some Pakistani people on the lineup. We have proceeds going to Kashmir. And so again, it's a really cool way to bring together our South Asian community. And Diwali is something that, means a lot to me. So I want to carry this on every year. But I also, like I said, really resonate with the female part of it and with giving opportunities to newer DJs, newer girls. And so to me, Playhouse, these are two of like this Mare Bear event with Mare Bear, who is in LA. I briefly spoke about connecting with her. We partnered with Femme House and Support Women DJs. We had open decks. It was amazing. It was also an industry mixer. These might look like two very different events, but to me it makes sense because it has like the common theme of inclusivity, representation, and now Playhouse, I say is like a reflection of myself. And so if you're building something, you want to be authentic, you can think of it that way. And to me, like it's kind of like a DJ set. It's like your own music. It's like as long as you see the theme and the string throughout, I promise you that others can feel it too. And so that to me is what Playhouse is right now. It's inclusivity, it's representation in ways that mean something to me. And I did have a friend come up and she was like, "Yeah, you're South Asian female." And so like it makes sense. So don't doubt yourself, do what means something to you and it'll mean something to other people too. So community building, how did we get here? Playhouse is now 2 years old. So in terms of origin, like I said, my friend Sav wanted to throw a rave and it went really well, and that's part of why it started. But also when we were thinking about how, like, why we really wanted to do this and take this on, we thought about the existing community around collectives in San Francisco. And at the time when I was DJing, it was heavily based around a lot of collectives that felt a little exclusionary, like a little bit like frats. No shade to anyone. It's gotten so much better now. There's so many great collectives and they're all very inclusive. That might be a generalization, but a lot of them are very inclusive. And at the time, I remember like being in clubs and feeling like, okay, there's like a lot of like, male energy up there. It's not very diverse. And so I wanted to create, spaces that felt more like Femme House to me and like bring it on this local level to help people actually get booked in these clubs. And so I thought about, new spaces that we could create, like those events that I showed you, and then how we could fill the existing spaces to be better. Like, where did we belong on these lineups? Um, so, for example, Kashmir, who's one of like the biggest electronic music artists ever, he is from the Bay Area and he comes back here every year for a show. And I saw he's half Indian, so he infuses a lot of that into his tour promotion and his music. He was coming to 10:15, and so I was like, we got to get a room full of like South Asian females in there and pitched the lineup and got it, and then really heavily promoted and leaned into it. We all had like these awesome profile cards. My partner Sav was like a whiz at graphic design. And people loved the idea. They showed up early, and it was like a packed upstairs room. And one of the top promoters in the city, DJ Dials, walked in, and he was super impressed. And the bartender said they had never seen it that lit. So, yeah, think about how you can fill those spaces and then build relationships like that with the promoters to give you more opportunities. Then recently, we worked with Dials on filling a room for Azeka's Kazemiya party to make it an all-female lineup. Um, so yeah, in terms of who's going to help you, it'll be those promoters. It'll be people like I mentioned, Neha Arini, like Vani, Mani, who's on the call, all my friends, who like don't have to because they're not officially part of the collective, but they want to and they like recognize something that they support and that they connect with, and so they would show up early and like help me decorate and hang saris from the ceiling and all this craziness on ladders and thumbtacks and so you can't do it on your own. I do technically run it by myself now, and I'm happy doing it that way, but I also really accept help. I ask for it, and when you're doing something that leaves the community better than you found it, it's pretty easy to get that help. Cool. So now the final pillar will be finding your pathways. So how do you, like I said, how do you get to the next level? So the three P's: persistence, perseverance, and patience. With persistence, you're gonna keep getting no's. Like, um, I still get no's, of course. Yeah, you're just gonna have to get used to it. Like, even now, so I'm a resident at a club that I really wanted to play in the past called Halcyon, but I would DM the booker Dominic about playing there, and I sent him my mix. And in the beginning, he was like, "Hey, this." It was really nice of him to give me genuine feedback. He said, "Hey, this sounds pretty commercial. Like Halcyon's more underground." And he like went through my Instagram and picked out a song that I had played, and he was like, "You have the tracks. I know it. Just like show me." And then I played more shows, and then he offered me a booking at this dream venue of mine, Halcyon. And he said, "Okay, but I also need you to bring like 40 people to the show. Like this is, I'm gonna need you to promote it pretty hard." And I was like, "Okay, this is around my birthday. I can do it." So even once you get something that you want, you're gonna have to keep pushing. And I got people there, and then I also had to learn how to play on the V10, which is like this four knob mixer, and did that even though I was really scared to do it. And I'm glad that that Dominic like waited to make sure that I was ready to play at Halcyon, because I love to say that time is preparation, and I was finally ready to go play there on that equipment with a more like underground eclectic set like that. So yeah, try to remember, I guess, that time is patience or time is preparation. Sorry, wrong word. Time is preparation. I always think that, and it really helps me when things are not working out or taking longer. I know that, okay, when it happens, I'm just going to be even more ready. And second, would find, I think, people who believe in you. Like I touched on in the beginning, this industry is so people driven. The booking decisions are made by actual people. People need to come out to support you. People need to comment on your Instagram. People need to be listening to your tracks. So really like accept that. And kind of, I would say, make sure that you can earn it. So that would be, I guess, like through the relationships with promoters would be through throwing events, promoting events for them, getting people out to their shows, and then in exchange they'll, help you with bookings. Also just playing really well, like, getting people who want to come out to your shows because they know you're going to deliver an amazing set. And then producing, of course, which is to me, I feel like that's the missing link for me now that I want to lean into. But I don't think it's necessary. I think you can, like I said, multiple pathways. And then third, have a pitch ready, because none of this works if you don't have the perfect pitch for when you reach out to gigs. And I'm not reaching out to all of my gigs. At this point now, I honestly am pretty sparing with how much I reach out to the big promoters, only like once to a few times a year per like the big promoters, if at all. And I make sure that it's a gig that I really feel like I'm perfect for, that I can deliver on. And I'll show you some examples. And then lastly, I would say you can work on your personal branding like at any time, and that's through what you're posting on your social media. That just helps bookers have you in mind for things because you've created, this, like I said, this brand so that people know, like, oh, badass female techno artist, let's get Tara to open. Like, that's her vibe. So, personal branding will really help you in terms of people then reaching out to you so you're not pitching yourself for the majority of the time. Cool. So now, thank you to everyone who stuck around. We're almost coming up 5 o'clock. So now I'm gonna reveal some secrets to bookings and how you can really get on a lot more lineups than maybe you think. So this Nala gig was a really big turning point for myself and for Playhouse. It was the first time I was direct support for a big artist, so playing right before them. It was the first time we had Playhouse on the flyer for a big artist. And this came about just from an Instagram post. I saw that she was coming to San Francisco, and DJ Hack, make sure to check the email tab on these artists' Instagram profiles because it'll often bring you to the manager's email. And of course, like if you DM the artist, they're probably not going to see it. So check the email tab, and you can even Google a lot of these artists' managers' emails. The booking managers, in particular, are the ones who are usually in charge of can help you with getting a support slot. And so, emailed the manager saying why Playhouse was a great fit, how we could curate a local female lineup for them, kind of like, hey, we can make your lives easier, we can bring people out to your show. And then they connected us with Golden Voice, who was running the show. And that actually established for me a longer standing relationship with Golden Voice, which was great. And yeah, they were into the idea. They asked me if I wanted to fill the slot with another person, and I would always say, if when it makes sense, consider a B2B, consider having someone else play because it's only going to help with bringing out people. And so, of course, we all want our solo sets, but sometimes it does make sense to go B2B or to share an opportunity with someone else. And Katie's amazing and totally deserved it. She started her own collective called Pixie Pop, and she actually played our first Playhouse show, so it was really special. And Katie said, "Hey, why don't we get our collective names on the flyer and like just don't be afraid to ask for things because we did and they were cool with it." Of course, like they had to approve our mixes, approve the make sure they ran their flyer through approvals and stuff, but it was finally all good to go and it was like this really cool thing to announce because it really like leveled all of us up. Um and it was my first time playing, like I said, direct support because I was technically able to book myself because they said, you're in charge, you can manage the support, so you can pick the time slots. And yeah, I would say that those types of things have really helped me develop. Because when you get a direct support slot, you're playing for a huge crowd. Like, it's really an amazing experience that I hope you can see, create for yourself. And so you're not so reliant on waiting for people to reach out or for bookers to decide set times. Yeah. And then here's an example of AL. So Fleshnet, she's amazing. She plays like Tomorrowland, like the biggest stages in the world. She plays Psytrance, and her dad was a DJ in India who played Goa trance, which is a very cool electronic genre, influenced by India. So when I saw that she was coming, I was like, okay, like I've played in the whole Indo electronic space. Like she's an amazing female artist. Like I need to be on this lineup. And like those are the gigs I would say you got to reach out for. Like if you're like, no, like I deserve this, I need to be on this lineup, then you should have no hesitation about reaching out. And from reaching out in the past, I believe to 1015, they gave me the name of who was in charge of their Throttle Techno series. So reaching out, even if you don't get a gig from it, sometimes they'll just give you another name, another connection that'll help you get a future gig. So that's kind of what happened in this case. So I had the like techno booker ready to go, said, hey, Afton gave me your email. Um, Gave proof of like why I was a good fit for this, saying I'm open for these big names. I run this local collective that's all about South Asian music. Played on like one of the highest selling shows last year, and then offered how I could help sell more tickets, cross promoting with my collective, which we did. I made a video educating on like her dad's history in India and Goa trance, and she told me in person how much she loved the video. It was really cool. Um, and yeah, Max told me after that he loved the email, and he was like, "Yeah, after that email, like I had to book you." And also said he loved them set, so that makes a difference too, is having a good set ready. And then when I met her, I was just starting out with producing and handed her a gift and a card, which was all genuine, and then also a USB with a demo on it that I played in the set, and it was really cool to see people actually dancing to it. I didn't hear back about the demo, but again, just an example, never stop being delusional because you never know. And, hopefully, like we had such a great interaction. I hope one day when I send her a demo that's worthy, I can get signed by her label. Yeah, so that I think we're almost at the end here. Yeah. So throughout this, I know this was like very strategy heavy, but I really want to emphasize that always keep your authenticity throughout. That's what people recognize. It's like just good karma, I would say, in my culture to be authentic in this. So like, for example, I really don't like the word networking. I think when you're going out there, you're just meeting people, you're supporting people, immersing yourself in the music scene. So don't think of it as networking and like just I would say do it when it's natural. Like a lot of these promoters and bookers are so busy at these events, they truly don't have time sometimes to like meet you. But if they see you, if you tag them on Instagram, like that's all helping, right? That's promoting their event, that's being there, then that can pay off more than you think. Second, I would say when you have your purpose, you have your values, you want to, stay true to them. This is a pretty crazy industry. I've been challenged so many times on the female lineups. I was recently told, like, hey, we don't book by race or gender. That doesn't matter. And I was like, yes, it does. And I took action. I don't work with that organization anymore. So I think authenticity will always win and can only benefit you. And lastly, you have to keep this fulfilling and fun for yourself and then also your audience. They are ultimately, you know, the primary reason for your success as a musician, as a DJ, as a performer. So it's a balance that I'm also learning to figure out. And it's an amazing relationship that you have when you're up there on the DJ stage. It's like nothing else. So keep it fulfilling for both parties. Yeah, that is all I have to share today. I'm so grateful for all of you who are here. I'm gonna stop sharing and get into some Q&As. Yeah, feel free to send any questions. I actually don't see any right now, but we have some time, so feel free to send them in. Or any thoughts? Anything you want. Okay, keep crushing it. Thank you. What's your favorite show you've... Okay, Dana, what's your favorite show you've played to date? I would say Lily Palmer at Hibernia, because like I said, it was like on this huge stage. It was in this like historic like bank that felt like a cathedral, and it was like the first time I saw myself like on this stage that was like okay, like she's like a Tomorrowland DJ, and like I love that whole European like techno space. So I was like, okay, like it felt like I could actually go do that one day. Like I had a friend when I said I wanted to play EDC, he was like, well, why not Tomorrowland? And so I would say like those shows that really just expand your mind and like your belief in yourself and like being up that close to Lily Palmer, who was like I'd seen so many videos of and stuff was just insane. So that was my favorite. How long were you DJing before opening up for a DJ who you look up to or is noteworthy? Um, so I would say, I'm trying to calculate this. So my first club gig, like I said, that I got through that chat was for Salvador Ganacci, who's like a really big house DJ. And so that was 6 months. So it doesn't have to take like a year. It can happen within 6 months. Yeah. How important is social media? I would say social media is extremely important as a DJ. It's just the reality. So that's how you get your music out there. That's how you get your brand out there. It is really important, but it's also a balance. You don't want to be like dominating people's feeds every day. So I make sure to also make sure, like sometimes I feel like I'm annoying myself with the amount that I'm posting. And so I actually am now like, if a booker is expecting me to post every day or something, I'm just like, this gig is not worth it. And like, that's probably something important to touch on right now, actually, is a lot of promoters will try to put all the pressure on you. They'll give you, for example, like promotional codes to track how many you're selling. And I've had shows where like they're like, well, Tara's only sold XYZ, blah blah. And I'm like, I don't care. Like this is at the time I just took the gig because like I was trying to gain more experience and I was like, these tickets are $70. None of my friends can afford this. They're not into this music. Like, I'm glad I've sold any tickets, honestly. So I'm trying to think how we got to that. We were talking about social media. Yeah, I would say it's important, but with like promoting and stuff, like do it at a level where you're not feeling exploited. You're still like feeling you don't feel like you're not posting something that's not authentic, if that makes sense. Like I'm not going to be drilling into people like buy tickets, buy tickets, buy tickets. So now I play shows that I'm passionate about. I feel like I'm promoting at a healthy level. Yeah, and some gigs, like I said, if they're expecting you to promote or post too much, it's just not worth it. Do you have any advice for DJs that want to get into the brand spaces? Doing a DJ set for a clothing line, luxury brands, booking more corporate events, not so much festival. I've seen LP do both scenes in Vogue and other luxe brands. Yeah, that's actually something I've been trying to break into because like fashion shows are literally what got me into house music. It is a very competitive space, especially depending on your market. I would say in LA or New York, it's a lot easier. In San Francisco, I got reached out to once by Valentino, which I was like so thrilled about. And then of course they were like weeks later, they're like, oh, like this fell through. And like the rates are pretty crazy. They're like, we're just being transparent here. Like corporate rates are like 1,000 an hour, whereas at a club you're getting paid like 100 an hour. So it's of course very tempting and something that we want to do to be able to pay off all our DJ expenses. But it's just really tough in my experience. I've been able to play for tech companies because I'm based in San Francisco. That's been good, but it is also a lot of work. You got to put together the right music for them. It can be kind of painful at times. So it's not something I invest my energy in. And I would say yeah, you could do both. But I wouldn't it's not maybe as easy as it seems. It's pretty competitive. There is a great agency called Les Filles, LES space FILLES, and they do a lot of like luxury fashion partnerships. I applied there, but I did not get it. But that's okay. And I think that to some extent you might have to choose. Like sometimes I think like, oh, maybe they saw the techno on my page and they were like, never mind. So like, yeah, I would rather be an artistic DJ, but if you can find a way to do both, then definitely do that because you can make a lot of money. How much time do you dedicate daily, weekly, monthly to learning how to DJ in your first 6 months? So I'm trying to think back. Um, I would say the best way to learn how to DJ is to just get out there. Like go play at your bars and your clubs. I've played the shittiest gigs for lack of a better term. Like I've played once on 420 at an empty bar for like 4 hours and it was horrible. But then I think back and like a year later, like exactly on that day was the Indo Warehouse gig. And then like 2 years later was the gig with Indra Paganoto. So I hope this inspires people that like you can play these truly awful gigs. But the more you're just out there like every week, multiple times a week, then you're just learning something on the CDJs every time that you're not going to learn at home. You're learning how to get people moving, learning yeah, it's just not comparable to like learning in your house. In your house, of course, like I've spent like my first month before my first club gig just trying to beat match every single day because you can't do that at the club. Like, you can't be messing up beat matching. You're gonna have to just press sync. And I will say also, I did use sync a lot in the beginning, and I remember that Mary Droppins talked about this and like how you just fake it till you make it. And yeah, that was something I was insecure about, and now I'll occasionally use sync if I feel like it's a little off, but it's not my go-to. I'm primarily beat matching. So it just takes time, and a lot of that is getting out there, having other people. Sometimes I remember once this girl came and she's like, "Whoa, whoa, like manager levels." And so it's scary because people are going to give you feedback like that, but it's the only way that you grow. And now I would say like I don't really DJ that much during the week in my house because it becomes like muscle memory and like that's how much you want to go play out so that you get to that level where it is just like riding a bike for you. But I did recently upgrade to the V10, which is 4 EQ knobs. That's like the standard for techno. So I'm really excited about that. And that's something I will need to practice more to get used to 4 versus 3 knobs. Hi, do you remember when you first got paid for a gig and how that went or how you got that done? Do you have a contract? Also, thanks for doing this. Of course, I'm so happy to do this. Yeah, first got paid for a gig. It was for like a museum. It was a corporate gig and there was no contract. I've been told that so contracts are not standard in this industry. I would only do contract if it's for like a very high investment kind of corporate travel gig. Like once I flew to Vegas and for that one we needed to do a contract. Obviously I was flying. But for like clubs, it's really not standard to do contracts for opening DJs. I don't know if you're a headlining DJ, maybe, but like you'll definitely get a weird response if you do a weird look if you do that. So yeah, but it is standard to get paid. So club gigs, sorry, just getting a call. I'm gonna turn off. Yeah, club gigs here, for example, the standard rate is 150. I've been paid up to like 750 for a club gig. I believe in transparency in this industry, so I'm just gonna be super open. Yeah, it can range, I would say, from like 150 to like 1,000, I would say, for if you're a local DJ playing clubs here. I would not ask for, this is a kind of controversial thing about whether you negotiate. I, this is maybe bad. I don't really negotiate if it's a gig that I really want because I don't want to, yeah, to me, it's not about the money right now. It's about like building up my resume. I have a day job. I highly encourage all of you to keep your day jobs. If you want to be a more creative type of DJ, it's not gonna pay you nearly enough until you're touring, making music, probably all of those things. So just make sure that you're not, I would say, not losing money on this. I'll go play gigs, for example, where it's like a theme party and I'll get paid like 300 for the night and I'm not getting any media taken of me or anything. So that's $300 in my pocket that then I can go spend on music. So I would say whenever, if you feel like you're losing some, just go make it up like DJing a party or something that's not as serious and doesn't require like you to buy a bunch of music or go spend money on media. And another thing is media will be pretty important as you want to level up. So professional media is something like we started having to do for Playhouse. And then I realized how much it was elevating my own personal DJ brand. And I started working with those photographers for my non-Playhouse gigs. So yeah, media is something you'll want to invest in and you might break even with gigs with that. It can get a little expensive. But yeah, I would think of all of this as investing in your future. Just again, don't make sure you're not losing money here. Any other questions? Okay. Harriet, how far in advance did you contact artists and booking agents to secure an opening slot? So as soon as you see the show announced, you should reach out. Yeah, it's just as simple as that. Because a lot of times they'll be announced without support. So for example, like High Low, who's like one of my favorite artists ever, was announced at Hibernia again, like this one of the biggest venues here. And then it said support TBA. And so then I saw the organizer, DJ Dials, and reached out to him and was able to get a support slot through that. And he said, like, give me some time, like, let me see what we can do. Thanks so much for reaching out. So yeah, if you see a flyer with support not announced or support TBA, like first thing you should do is reach out. And if support's already announced, I wouldn't reach out because usually there's not much flexibility. Sometimes if you know that the venue has like an additional side room and you want to propose filling the side room with people, that can work. That's how we got Azeka. So yeah. And what's the most important to know when reaching out to DJs or booking agents? What are they looking for? They are looking for fit. So explain, like I said, like, why you're a good fit, like maybe some credibility, like other artists that you've opened for. Um, Even just saying you're a fan of them, which hopefully is true, is helpful. I'm trying to think what else. Obviously a good mix, a good live set. And then how you can bring people. So, yeah, like I have a collective, right, that I can co-promote through, or maybe it's your Instagram account or something like that is helpful. But it's not always about that. Like Kelly Lee Owens is one of my favorite artists, and she just hosted a contest to open for her, and I just submitted a mix, and that was all. And then I got to go open for her, and it was amazing. So it doesn't always have to be about like your promotional pull. It can also just be your talent. How important? Okay, yeah, we've touched on social media. What are the ways that ADE leveled up your career? I would say it was huge part was inspiration and like just seeing how big this could be. Like it's so much bigger than ourselves. Like this huge week. I think people sometimes talk about Burning Man like this. It's like this huge week where everyone's coming together and like creating this amazing event. And yeah, so it was just inspiration and even like for throwing my own events. And what else? Also, I did take a DJ workshop there, and it was funny because I was trying to get into Peggy Goo's like sunrise set, and I got there at 7 a.m. and I was too late, and they didn't care that I had my pro pass, which was supposed to get me in anywhere, which I highly recommend you buy if you go. It's like $500 for the whole week. But it did not get me into Peggy Goo's loft set. And so instead I went to like I think no, I had to like go sit in a somewhere for like 4 hours, and then I went to this DJ workshop that was below where she was playing. And it was crazy because I was taking this DJ workshop and we could hear Peggy just like ripping upstairs. So it's just like crazy experiences like that. And it was like up on this like loft in this famous building there. And they taught me a lot of stuff, even though I literally could not even touch the CDJs because I didn't know how. They talked about like, for example, how to be a respectful opener. And that was something that I definitely, took to heart. And like, for example, like Halcyon cares a lot about that. And so that's why I've been able to stay a resident there. So just little industry tips like that. You pick those up everywhere, like even like right now. So just go to as many of these kinds of things as you can, and I think ADE is one of the best ones. And I also have heard that, like, so at the time, I mentioned I was in a job that I really didn't like, and I was literally like working during the day and then going out to ADE at night. So I actually didn't get to go to too many of the conference events. But now I'm really excited I do get to go, and I have like a demo ready finally. And with those, if you want to, go into producing, that's where a lot of people get their tracks signed. And so there are things called like demo drops, demo feedback sessions, and they can be really scary because they play your demo in front of everyone. And I've definitely had a demo like ripped apart before. But it usually is like, it's, you kind of have to have that happen for you to grow. And so I would say anyone who's trying to get into production, be prepared for that. If you have production teachers, that is going to happen. It's just part of it. But then you'll come back with an even better track and they'll be so happy with you. So yeah, demo drops and feedback sessions are a big part of ADE too. And a lot of people go there because they have tracks that they can get signed. And hopefully that happens for me. Cool. I think those are all the questions. Let's see if there's anything else. Um, cool. Okay. Yeah, guys. Oh, nope, there's some more. Okay, is there somewhere you recommend finding production teachers other than FemHouse? Yes, FemHouse is amazing. There's like this it's always where I point people first. They have a platform called Teachable where Mini Bear's recorded sessions are all stored on there. But it is, I agree. Like, I struggle with this. Like, it is hard to watch a recorded session and like stay engaged, no matter how amazing it is. And so, of course, tune in live when you can. But with producing, follow your favorite producers because a lot of them actually do offer classes, or you can maybe reach out to some like local producers that you know. And we all got to make money. So, like, a lot of them will be willing to teach you. And it can be one-on-one that way. And they're actually like, I've worked on tracks with these producers and they're not producing for me at all. They're just showing me how I can improve it. And like really pushing me. Like, this last class I had with Camino, he was like, there's way too many elements. You can't have multiple bass lines. Like, show me this like next time. And then it was pretty scary. I was like, is this track even like salvageable? And he was like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm just pushing you. And then the next time I met him, I like worked really hard over the weekend and like took everything that he said and like looked at some of the automation he had done as an example and replicated it. And then I played it for him the second time and I was so scared. And he was like, this is 5 billion times better. Like, this is now a track. So that one-on-one, like, instruction, and that's all through Zoom. He was like in LA and New York. Yeah, that I would say that's through Instagram. So following your favorite people, your producers, hopefully they're doing lessons, hopefully they post about it on their Instagram stories. That's how I got my two producing teachers. And it's definitely made a difference for like the one-on-one track development. And there's also local schools. There's like IO Academy. They're great, but it was hard for me to like get somewhere in person every week with my job. And so I really do prefer like having a producing teacher that I just work with over Zoom. I've even heard of like people working with instructors in Europe because it's cheaper. So ask around, and a lot of people will know someone who's giving lessons. Um, how to be a respectful opener. Tell us, please. Okay, respectful opener. This is definitely something I've had to figure out because one of my worst sets was actually for that Kashmir. The first time I opened for didn't really open for Kashmir, but we were playing like a side room. And I took the respectful opener thing too a little too far. Like I was like, oh, like he's in the main room at midnight. I'm at 11. I was in like a completely different room, but I was like, I'm gonna hold back a little bit. And I played more like deep house stuff that was not really Kashmir's vibe, and the crowd was the people who were there were definitely into it, but like the people before me were really high energy, and that's what the crowd wanted, especially like in a side room. And so I really learned from that set. Like I cried after that set. It was rough, and I'm being open about this so that you can hopefully get through those tough times too. And I just like learned from it. I was like, okay, like I remember I went in with a new USB that didn't have a bunch of like my usual tracks on there, so I couldn't even pivot that much. And so I was like, I need to be able to read the room. I need to know the audience better. I need to, if I'm in a side room, I don't need to really hold back. People are there to go hard, like, So I learned from it. And then Kashmir asked me to open for him this past March at the Midway. He was really like, he loved what we did with the side room. And he was like, I want you to open for the main room and the Midway. And then with that one, I was like, okay, this is Kashmir. He goes super hard. Like I'm like playing 9 to 10. So I figured out the appropriate level too. I didn't go crazy, but I made sure to get the crowd who was there at 9 and like probably like not really wanting to dance as much dancing. So, yeah, I think obviously don't go super hard right if you're right before the headliner. Or I've also heard this tip, bring it down. So like I played a pretty hard techno show recently and I was at 150, I was 10 to 11, but it was like a packed room. And I was at 150 in the middle, and then I brought it back down to like 140, like 130s. So you can go hard, but make sure to just bring it back down. And of course, never play songs by the actual artist. Yeah, someone told me they didn't know that, so that's like a big no-no. Don't do that. Um, do you typically pre-plan sets versus reading the room in the beginning of your learning journey? So I did pre-plan sets a lot in the beginning. Yeah, I think this is kind of a tough one. I still pre-plan sets if it's like a big show. I would say if it's more so of a show, like if it's like, for example, I'm going to be on a really big stage, like there's not really much I can read the room because I'm like really far away from people and like I don't want to be like up there, with the transition that doesn't work as well as it could because this is like a really big deal and I'm on a huge stage. So like if I was gonna play EDC or something, I would plan my set. I think a lot of the DJs who are performing like that do plan their sets. But if you're playing a club set, it's kind of like the size of the room. It's like if you're like more with the crowd, like it's better to read them. So and it's also more fun. Like I love those kinds of sets because it's like a release. Whereas when I like to see that as like DJing, more DJing versus performing, right? You're like reading the room, responding, energy, exchange. Whereas when you're on the big stages, you're performing, and that's a show that you're putting on, in my opinion. So hopefully that helps. And I know obviously we're not all on big stages in the beginning. So I would say, yeah, plan your sets if that makes you feel more comfortable. If you're more confident doing that, of course do that. I stopped doing that as much when I had that experience at the Kashmir show because I'd planned this like deep house set for this like big room artist and it was not going well. And I was like, oh, I wish I had prepared my USB better to like be able to have pivoted and to I wish I had felt more comfortable pivoting. And there was another set that happened like that where it was just I prepared the wrong set for the vibe and like I'm much better. I like don't take shows where I don't align as well. And I if I'm preparing a set, I make sure that I have full confidence that it will do well. But be ready to pivot if you need to. And then I read over and over that most of the big headline DJs at the festivals, i.e. Ultra, generally have their sets pre-recorded and focus on performing. Can you confirm this? No, I think that's honestly a myth. Like, I don't think they're pre-recorded. Like, I've also heard people say that, like, oh, well, the lights have to be coordinated, and like, I've had lights coordinated very well to when I'm playing, and like, I'm not pre-recorded. So, yeah, I would say I don't believe that. Um, yeah. Cool. Any other questions? It would be nice to end on a more positive question than that one. If you could go back in time and tell your younger self something, what would you say? Oh yeah, I love this question. Okay, so no shade to the like ultra question. I've also heard that, so I'm happy to dispel that. If I hope I'm dispelling it. And then if you could go back in time and tell your younger self something, what would you say? I would say keep going because that's actually what Jackie Hollander told me when I went up to her at her set at the Midway. And I'd like even read interviews where she said that she was like ready to give up altogether and just go corporate with her full time with her job. And she to me is like so amazingly talented and inspiring. And so when she told me that, I was like, I always think back to that when I'm going through a time where I want to give up. I'm like, nope, Jack, you said keep going, and like look at where she is. She's where you want to be. So yeah, hopefully I can tell you guys that keep going. Because we're all gonna hit those points. Like even John Summit will like tweet about how I remember like after I had that really bad experience, I saw that he tweeted he played Ultra, ironically, and like he had a horrible time because he likes to play deeper sets and he felt like the crowd wasn't vibing. And so even at John Summit's level, you're gonna have rooms where like you just can't get through to them sometimes. And sometimes I accept it. I'm like, okay, this is just not my crowd. And like it's part of DJing. There's a lot of ups and downs. And so you just have to keep going and remember like my mom will sometimes say like, "Hey, you're gonna have an amazing set soon that'll like make you forget about this," and she's always right. How different are your sets from one another? How much of the same music do you play? Does it always have to be brand new? So like I kind of touched on this with Playhouse, like with music, like I would say even with producing, like it's kind of like this intangible thread, I would say. Like for me, it's even hard to explain. Sometimes like I like to say mine are high energy and dynamic and like emotional. And I know that like the way I DJ is very like those words I just described. And that's like kind of hard to put into words. But I think we all have this idea, right, of like what makes us us, what makes our sets ours. And so just try to think of that, like how do I make this a Tara set? Like how do I make this one that like if someone had such a great time at my set here, they're still gonna have a great time here, even if I'm playing like maybe a different genre, it's still like the same, gonna give them the same feeling. And so in terms of how my sets are different from one another, as I'm expanding to techno, this is something I'm thinking a lot more about. So when I first started, I was taking like a lot of gigs because, like I said, I think you got to do that to get the experience, to get your name out there, to get credibility. So with house music, because I could, and I know like Camille is also able to play a lot of different genres. Like there's so many opportunities. Like I was playing Afro house, deep house, tech house. And then also along the way, like learning like, okay, these are going well, but like what am I really excited about playing? And for me, that's recently been more techno. And so I'm like, okay, how do I bring house and techno together so that my sets do still feel cohesive? And so now it's funny because I have a collective called Playhouse, but it is, to be fair, it's all about cross-genre electronic music, but I'm moving more, I would say, a little more in the techno direction. So yeah, that is something I also think about. I don't want people to have no idea what to expect when they come to something. That's something I'm still figuring out. So sorry if that answer was a little bit confusing. Um, yeah, I would say it's kind of like about the energy, and it can still be like very different types of music, but the common theme is that you're picking it, right? So hopefully your taste and the way you mix and the way you order your songs and like make mixing decisions keeps it consistent in a way. So have faith in that, I would say. And how much of the same music do you play? Does it always have to be brand new? Um, I definitely play what is exciting to me at the time. So I would be really bored if I was playing the same music all the time. So like before a set, I am such a Spotify addict. Like I'm always liking songs on there, making playlists, and then with each of the playlists, they have the recommended songs below. So before a set, I'll like even for this like Kylo show, I have like 100 song playlist right now, and the show's not for like 2, 3 weeks. And I keep seeing like what's recommended, what comes to mind, and add to it. And then I can start thinking of the vibe ahead of time. Um, and then when I'm ready to build a set list, I do want to make use of the tracks that I know and have played and have paid money for in the past. So I'll start with those, and then I'll be able to add in new tracks that are really exciting for me to play and test out. And there's some tracks that I keep going back to that like there's this song called Breathe by Loco and Jam. That's my song reco. I like always love playing that song. So there's some that you just love playing and they'll be in like a ton of your sets. Um, and with that, I would also say like you do want to stay fresh as a DJ. Like you don't want to be playing songs that were like, hot a couple weeks or yeah, it's sad. It sometimes is even a couple weeks ago. So you want to make sure that you're staying fresh and yeah. But if you love the song, of course, keep playing it. How long did you take to feel comfortable in CDJ? Okay, wait, there's some other questions. Okay. In terms of going out to gigs and meeting people, have you ever struggled with keeping at going out alone and trying to meet people since it can be intimidating if your friends aren't also DJs? Yes, I'm a huge advocate of going out by yourself, which my mom does not like, but it's true. I've like always loved going to shows and concerts by myself. I feel like it's like therapeutic for me to like just be in the zone like at a set and not have to worry about a friend next to me. And I think it's a really like people, take themselves out for dinner. I was just having a conversation with someone about this, about like what we do by ourselves. And for me, it was going out to shows. So it maybe came a little more naturally, but hey, like if you need to wear sunglasses or something to feel less like awkward, do it. Like just yeah, you'll get more comfortable. It's so powerful because then you're able to just go out and meet people and like when you're with your friends, it's not as easy. Sometimes though it might make it easier. I've had very social friends and that actually takes the edge off, right? But yeah, don't be afraid to go alone and just go dance and someone will probably come up to you and you'll vibe and you'll have a great time and make a new connection. Or even I would say if you're going to support, like, so following your local DJ friends, this was another way I was able to get out more in the scene. Like they'll host like a pregame or something. So this girl, Ashley Tay Tay, she was very like a really big advocate of female DJs in San Francisco, like when I was starting out. And so she was hosting a pregame for her gig. And so I went by myself because she was playing at 10:15 and I was like, oh, I'm booked to play here, my first gig in a month. So I went to the pregame. They had like CDJs there. Of course, I didn't even touch them because I didn't know how to play them yet. But like met, Ashley and these other DJs. So, and she just posted that invite in the girl DJ group chat. So yeah, I would say like going to support DJs is like, hopefully that like takes some of the awkwardness out of it for you of going alone. You're like, I'm gonna go support this person. And yeah, they'll probably come talk to you after, introduce you to their friends, you'll meet someone there. So hopefully that helps. How long? Yes, I go alone. I'm a 44-year-old suburban mom. That's awesome. Um, how long did it take you to feel comfortable on CDJs from the controller? Did you just go to Pirate Studios to practice on them, or did you use friends' decks? Okay, I would highly recommend getting an RX3 if you're trying to jump from controller to CDJs. And I really like, I don't even play on the small deck anymore because to me, it's like DJing is like a full body experience. And so I know it can be very hard with like the price limitation. You can pay in installments. I would save up for it. I think that's the best investment you can make in your DJ career is getting an RX3 or whatever the latest RX is. It made me so much more comfortable when I was going on CDJs, and I eventually finally outgrew my RX3 and now have my beautiful CDJs and what is it, V10. And now I feel like because the same thing was happening to me with the RX3. I was like, oh, like the jog wheels are small. Like I don't feel like I'm fully like able to catch a flow here. And I like, yeah, it didn't feel like enough space. So I think with DJing, it's so much about flow. It's like a full body thing. I think it's really important to try to get an RX3 if you can. And if you can't, then yes, definitely go to the studios, go to friends, especially right before the gig. You want to make sure your USB is working and plugged into that. So important to get access. And of course, definitely take advantage of sound checks. Some people don't go, but like a lot of times you'll have like a whole hour at the club before. So when I didn't have the V10 at home, or sometimes when I'm playing on the RMX 1000, which is like the twisty thing that like the techno DJs use, I'll go to the venue an hour before because that's when they open, and then I can go play and get comfortable. And it's kind of like exercise. Like I've actually found that when I don't sound check for 15 minutes and I don't warm up, then like I might make a little mistake or something. And also, don't be afraid of mistakes. Literally, at my last techno gig, I made like at Halcyon, I made this because it was a V10 and the filter is different. I had my first ever boo-boo where like I pulled down the filter, pulled down the channel, and then the other track wasn't playing. So it was really embarrassing and I quickly recovered, but like boo-boo, I always just say it's a boo-boo and that makes it less serious. And then I was like, okay, time to get a V10 at home and like make sure that never happens again. So it's okay. Everyone has little boo-boos here and there, but you can minimize it by like having that same equipment at home if you can, having something similar, getting on there right before you're gonna go perform, because you want to just build that muscle memory. Okay, what DJ pools do you use? Are any of them free or all paid? I actually don't use DJ pools. I'm not the right person to ask for that. I'm a big Beatport, SoundCloud person. I think DJ pools are, I don't know if it's, I mean, I think it's definitely relevant for house. I sometimes think of them more as like bootleggy type of remixes, but I might be wrong. Um, yeah, I do know I definitely need to get on the DJ pool stuff because I've heard that there are ones where you can get tracks like before, like big tracks before they're even out and you don't have to pay for them or something. So, yeah, definitely hit up your high level DJ friends because a lot of them have access to these things, and I also need to get on that for sure. Um, cool. So yeah, DJ City is good house. Thanks, Camille. So it feels the same going to CDJ 2000s from the RX3. Yeah, this I actually don't like CDJ 2000s are a little not very fun. Hopefully you're on CDJ 3000s. 2000s are pretty old and clunky. But yeah, it's very similar from the RX3. It's just two screens versus the one on the RX3. And I actually don't loop, by the way. And I feel okay saying this because I think Mary Joppins did say in a session that she didn't loop for a long time. I feel like, to me, like with house and techno, you don't really need to. There's so much space. So I don't loop, but I think if you loop, it's a little different. So just be look out for that too. Cool. That was a lot of questions. I'm seeing if there is anything else, but feel free to ask more. Okay, I'm gonna give it like 1 or 2 more minutes, and then I think we're done. Unless anyone has something, any closing words, thoughts. Thank you for the love in the chat. I had a great time, and I'm so glad that y'all were able to learn something and enjoyed it too. Oh, is anyone going to ADE? Or does anyone want to go to ADE now? Have I convinced anyone? Okay, well, oh, any tips for how to start a DJ? Okay, more questions coming in. Any tips for how to start a DJ collective? Yeah, I think it has to start authentically. Like, I think if you're saying like, I'm not choosing the person asking you this elective, and I like, actually told a friend recently, I was like, yes, it's like a way to kind of like, benefit from the system, but you don't. I hope the theme was to be authentic and to not try to think in those ways because I think the only way to do this is to, like I said, just be genuine about it. Like if you, I would say start a collective if you see a need in the community, a gap that you can fill. And for us, it was like, okay, there's not really a female collective that's able to get on these big lineups, and there's not one that's also has this South Asian influence. And so like it kind of just came naturally. We were both Indian American girls, like it just worked and it happened. And so don't feel pressure to start a DJ collective, but I'm sure that there's ways like I know that the person asking this like throws like really sick like beach parties and stuff. So like I would say just lean into that, like lean into what's working for you already, what's coming naturally, because it is such a competitive space. There's so many collectives now. It's yeah, we all have something unique about us. So just think about how you can leverage that because that's going to be genuine and authentic. Are you always expected to do tricks or just mixing is okay if the tracks are right? Oh yeah, definitely don't need to do tricks. Like I said, I don't even loop and people are shocked by that. But I like to like for me it's like I think it gets boring when people are just looping all the time and I think that's what can make some house sets really boring is when you overuse that. So I like to really look at the waveforms and like work like architecturally with the tracks. And I definitely have gotten like I see the feedback from that when I play. So um you can literally just mix without tricks and it'll go great. I was thinking of going to ADE this year, but next year. Yeah, I should. Cool. Stick around for another minute or two if there's anything else. Well, thank you so much for all the engagement. These were amazing questions. Again, I'll stick around if there's any more. But yeah, I really enjoyed answering them. Again, I hope that like the themes of like being strategic, but also staying true to yourself and like, realizing that at the end of the day, we're just playing music. It's not that serious, but you also have these amazing opportunities to really make an impact in your community and create new experiences and go be the representation that you want to be. So yeah, don't let anyone say, I'll leave with this. Don't let people say that like anyone can be a DJ or that everyone's a DJ. I know that there's a lot of that right now. But just know that like your point of view, your music, what you bring is so special and you deserve to be on whatever stage that you want to be on. Cool. Okay, thanks everyone. I'm gonna end this and I hope you all have amazing Fridays and weekends and go out and listen to some music. Thanks.